In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Zarah from Skeleton. We talk about her career that started in China and about all the learnings from cultures around the world. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hire, the AI talent attraction platform. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm very much looking forward to my guest today, Zarah. It's great to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here, Benjamin.
Zarah, can you give us a bit of a download? Who are you?
Of course, I'd love to. Yes, so I'm the VP of People and Culture at Skeleton Technologies, a company that was founded in Estonia, actually, but I am located in Germany. And we're in a very fascinating field, and this is the field of energy storage. We are developing and producing supercapacitors and super batteries. And these products and solutions help our customers to actually save energy and facilitate the transition to renewable sources. And this is really exciting because I didn't know anything about this before I started here. And I'd love to also give you some examples. And but just talking a little bit about where I'm coming from, what I'm doing is. So I actually started my career in China in international trade, and then at one point I decided to come back to Germany. Better salary, better health system, family here, of course. And then I worked as a headhunter, and I also gave intercultural trainings. And at one point I had the chance to join big corporate companies in all levels of so-called HR departments. So I was in talent acquisition, I was in employer branding, in business partnering, HR business partnering, and also in typical HR strategies. And after working in two big corporates, I discovered the startup world. And this was also a very, very interesting time of my life because then I realized you don't need 3, 4 years to make a decision. You can actually make a decision on one day, and you don't need to prepare PowerPoint slides for steering committees that will be happening in half a year or so. And I really loved it, and I still love it. So I went through two real startups, and then I was approached by Skeleton, and this intrigued me a lot because actually a few weeks before I got a message from Skeleton, I read a book about Elon Musk, and there he talked a lot about supercapacitors. And then when they approached me, I knew exactly what they were doing and thought, okay, this is a company that really has some potential. And yes, here I am, 1.5 years later. I'm responsible for talent acquisition, people and culture, and also office. And I'm for the whole group of Skeleton. We are 350 employees at the moment. Our headquarters are in Tallinn, the beautiful capital of Estonia. And we also have production facilities and offices in Finland and, of course, also in Germany.
Well, there's so many things you just said that very much resonated with me. So talking about the incredible speed at startups versus large corporates. Sarah, can we talk a bit about your time in China? So I think for many people, in particular from Western countries, it's still rather unusual to start a career in China, given well cultural barriers, and things being a bit different over there. Tell us a bit about how you started your career.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was also actually by accident because I visited a friend in China. She and her family lived in Shanghai, and it was just such an incredible experience being there for 4 weeks that I decided, okay, I really want to see more of China. I want to experience the culture. And through some connections, I got a job in a company that produces street sweepers, a Chinese one. And they actually dealt a lot with European companies, and found it would be quite beneficial for them to have a European face as well when they negotiate contracts, for example. So I started there not speaking any word of Chinese, not knowing much about Chinese business culture. And I had really, really nice colleagues who taught me a lot. I think the most important thing is that you are open and you don't close yourself to things that are different from what you are knowing from home. So as long as you're opening up and also listening to the people, you can adapt quite quickly.
What did you find most interesting when you came to Shanghai the first time? So for me, it was the incredible energy and the well, how modern everything was. Given well, when you are used to cities like New York City or London or any German city,
Exactly.
obviously everything is a bit older. So the London Tube was built 150 years ago in many parts. So everything was so fresh, so new, so kind of energetic.
Exactly. So I'm from Berlin. That is the biggest city in Germany, right? I always felt it's quite a big city, but when I came to Shanghai, I realized Berlin is actually a village. And seeing so many people working there, living there also quite differently, and seeing old China and new China combined in one city, people who are still uh, transporting stuff like they used to do it 100 years ago, but also incredible technical equipment that I have never seen in Europe before. So this contrast really intrigued me.
It's super interesting, and we're talking about cultural differences. So you now have probably a very good overview of well how working in China, working in the Baltic countries, working in Germany is. So how do you compare those cultures?
I love comparing cultures, and this is also why I worked as an intercultural trainer in the beginning. I really thought this will be my career track, right? So
And if I might stop you there,
yeah,
I personally think it's an incredible challenge given there are well if you get this wrong you can destroy so much. If you get that right, if you have an accommodating culture in your company that accommodates all cultures, you can have such a massive impact. So therefore I'm so interested in hearing your opinion.
yeah. So currently at Skeleton, we have more than 40 different cultures or nationalities on board. And it's super important for us that we can all work together as one team, right? And obviously, the language here is not a big barrier because we all speak English and this is our company language. But when it comes to uh, performing in projects or making decisions and so on, you can see huge differences. And therefore, again, it comes to being open, what I said in the beginning, also being aware of that some people might not speak out their full knowledge at once, or they might say yes, but maybe have something against it, but they don't communicate it. This needs some training and also some um, empathy in the end that you see it. So at Skeleton here, we try to train especially our leaders that they know exactly what is actually listening, how do I give feedback correctly, and how do I work in teams, how do I structure my one-on-ones to get the best out of it. And what we do, especially for the cultures here, I'm very happy that my team also introduced this. We have monthly cultural sessions where every month one nation is presented by a representative of this nation, and also gives insights into how to actually deal with someone from Nigeria, from France, from Poland, from Japan, and so on, to make sure that we understand each other.
I must say I really love that idea, and I think it's so useful. So I remember when I worked in China. I didn't live there, but worked there quite often. It was super interesting to observe and to learn from more experienced people, and then find out, okay, well, things that appear slightly strange in the first place, well, there's a good reason for that. And once you understand, it doesn't appear odd at all, but it's like, well, makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. I can give you an example that just pops up into my mind right now. I didn't understand why my colleagues in China during lunch break actually fell asleep. So all of them, the whole office was with the head sometimes on the keyboard, just sleeping for 20 minutes, half an hour. And it was very strange for me in the beginning. But in the end, actually, I also participated. And it was just so much more energy you had after having lunch. And also, for example, in the morning, we had the typical sport activities also all together. And it was super strange in the beginning, but in the end, it was a great team event every single morning. Although I could never sing the national anthem, also not in the end, I'm sorry.
Right, fair enough. Well, singing is not for everyone, right? So the well, the idea of one culture presenting every month. Who came up with that?
That was actually Birgit from my team in Estonia.
And then, well, how did you institute that? Given one could also say, well, it's well, it doesn't consume too much time. So, how did you approach this?
Absolutely. So, of course, if you invite the whole company, 350 people, to join a meeting that is 45 minutes every month, you can easily calculate costs, right?
Indeed.
What we did is then that we put it into the lunch break. So, where normally people during lunchtime have some, at least a few minutes to spare for their lunch. And we invited all of them to also eat during the session and just watch and also interact, of course. So this is not it's not a standard meeting. Also, we collected some arguments why this is not actually disturbing people from work or not taking them from work, but actually helps them in work. And also, people would not normally count their hours and say, yes, I was at this business meeting, cultural business meeting, and therefore I couldn't finish my tasks. It's rather that they are more energetic afterwards and love to complete their tasks afterwards.
The what were the most interesting findings for you in the cultural sessions so far?
Oh, so many. I could, from each country, I could take something. So I think the most important part that came out is that people afterwards speak more with each other because they maybe have a topic that they know. Oh, you've been attending this cultural session as well. Hey, how did you like this and that, or did you also laugh so much about this? Or also interacting with the speaker, with the presenter. So I would say this amazingly increases the network in the company.
How do you approach this not to make it feel like homework for people? Like, hey, next week it's, I don't know, Egypt. Who's from Egypt? Okay, you're assigned with the task talking about Egypt. There may be some people who might be reluctant speaking in front of others.
Yeah, we
Maybe
don't pressure
people.
anyone. It's really just the ones who want to speak. And at the moment, we still have so many speakers on the list. So, and also, I think some of the potential speakers are just attracted by what they've seen before and also want to present their home country.
That's super cool. It's yeah, sounds like an amazing idea. Zarah, can you tell us a bit about how working for an Estonian company feels like? So I think in large countries, people are kind of used to, well, I work when I'm in America, I work for a US company, perhaps a German company, but well, Estonia, as you said, is like it's a small country, however,
True.
incredibly fast, a bit like a startup.
Exactly.
As a country, so like incredibly fast in implementing digital strategies, super fast in providing or implementing new technologies, providing a very good ecosystem and environment for companies to grow. So that's the thing I have in mind when I think about Estonia.
Very good. I'm happy that you already know about Estonia because, the first time I was there was during my study time, probably 20 years ago. And I just looked at the old town and beautiful buildings and so on. So when I came back 1.5 years ago and saw what has changed and felt this vibrant startup culture in Tallinn, this is just amazing, honestly. So Germany can learn so much from Estonia because Estonia is fast in implementing things. They are very modern when we look at what services they have. I mean, we don't need to start talking about where Germany lacks modern modern environment, but yes, it's really you can in Tallinn you can feel this vibrant mood, and you also have a full nation of people who basically grows up with English, so everyone is fluent in English, and this also helps to do business with everyone all over the world. It was actually also one of the points why I was choosing Skeleton as an employer, because I really wanted to work with Estonians. I have never done this before. It was a very good choice. So Estonians, they're not much different from other Europeans, I would say. They can be a little bit more closed up in the beginning, as they are from the Nordics, from the Baltics, but very lovely, warm people, and yeah, also sometimes very similar to Germans. We always make a joke here when it's about teaching people how to give feedback, that criticism is not feedback, and Germans are very good in criticism, as you know, but Estonians sometimes as well. So this is a common thing that we try to train.
Okay, that's an interesting observation. When you talked about cultures being different to a certain extent, and I think it's kind of inevitable given just judging from physical proximity, that there is some reason why culture in Holland is kind of close to the culture in my home state of North Rhine-Westphalia. So therefore, this physical proximity makes some sense. But if you talk to people from very different places, so where the cultural gap is quite wide, how do you bridge the cultural gap between people from very far away to people who are Estonians and Germans being quite similar?
Yeah, be friendly. This is the first thing. Don't be too harsh or too direct in the beginning. So you need to listen, you need to look, observe the situation, especially if you know nothing about the culture, right? So if it's the first time maybe you do business with someone from Costa Rica, so most probably you have no idea how to do this, and therefore observe the situation, follow what you're seeing, and it really helps when you have some empathic skills, so you can better feel and see how your counterpart is reacting.
I think it's such an incredibly important topic, given as we also learn from my guests on HR Visionaries, so many companies, even smaller companies, like you mentioned 300 employees before.
Yeah, 350 almost.
350, 40 different nations. that's that's very diverse for a very small team, and
Mhm.
therefore I think it's becoming more and more a super important issue to so many companies. To yet to successfully include everyone into the company culture, and to be successful in getting
Mhm.
everyone on board, because those people, as you mentioned before, so that who may want to sleep in their lunch break, may be very offended if you don't if you're not open to this.
Yeah, and here I would even add an extra layer of complexity,
Mm.
because we are not only dealing with several nations in 3 different countries and bigger and smaller locations, we are also dealing with a diversity of knowledge workers and blue collar workers. So this actually is a big challenge for us when you look even at tiniest thing like communication.
Mm.
So knowledge workers, you do communicate with them and inform them in a very different way compared to the blue collar workers who might be interested in very different things. While you have very strategic discussions on the one hand side, on the other hand, you want people who are interested in actually who uses our products and how much do I get paid and when is lunch break. So I don't want to pull out all the cliches, but it's really a challenge for the company also to find the right information platform for everyone in the company, also for the ones in Finland who are just maybe 6 in a team in a location that is very far away from everything else. So how do I inform them? How do I onboard them? How do I actually make sure that they are part of the team compared to our headquarters, for example?
I think it's such an important point you mentioned there, given, well, let's think back 20, 30 years ago. Companies were much more centralized, not that diverse in terms of ideas, in terms of cultures. Back then, it was sufficient to call everyone in once a month to give a bit of or provide some information to hand
True.
out like a um, um, physical newsletter, and that's it, right? And nowadays it's what's important to those people in a remote place in Finland may be completely irrelevant for people in Dresden.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. It's and this is where we as a company just need to use different methods, right? As you described 20 years ago, maybe a leaflet once a month was enough that you put to a blackboard and everyone would read it during the lunch break.
With a crossword puzzle.
Exactly. So nowadays it's more complex. So you also need more people working on this. So it's what we are using is bi-weekly company meetings on a virtual place. Those are our like virtual town halls that there we share a lot of information and also answer questions. Then for our majority of our blue collar workers, we have physical town halls on a regular basis. That also have different focuses. So not too strategic, but more relevant information for the day-to-day work. And then we have newsletters via email. We do have smaller information workshops for teams that we identify that need some more information. For example, we have meet the CEO sessions where the CEO goes around and meets team by team by team to also get to know what's actually the voice of the employee, right? So we're not so big, so everyone knows everyone, but still sometimes information travels slow or does not reach the right person.
Can you tell us a bit about what you guys actually do? So you talked about batteries, energy, and energy storage, which is obviously a super important topic these days. And you said it was a major driver in your decision to join the company.
Exactly, and it still excites me a lot because yes, as I said, we're in the energy storage market and we develop and produce supercapacitors, and super batteries. Those are not normal batteries, but they are also energy storage solutions for our customers. So imagine a supercapacitor, for example, that can absorb a lot of energy within seconds and also give out this energy in seconds. And this is used, for example, when you think about kinetic energy, an elevator that breaks or a tram that breaks at a certain moment. And then you have a lot of lost energy in the end because this braking energy is not captured. But if you collect this energy and then you can use it a few moments later to accelerate the elevator or the tram again. This is one of the use cases where you need supercaps, and this in the end helps to use less energy all over the planet if you use it correctly. Also, I would like to give another example from the medical field. You know, the MRI machines that need for one moment a really huge amount of power, but just while it takes this picture in the end. If you would not have any super caps or similar products, then this was most probably cause a blackout in the grid system. So super caps are also used, and super batteries for um, keeping the grid stable. And I mean, you can think about we are living in Germany, the grid is stable, there's always energy when I plug in my mobile phone or a car. It's not so easy to keep the grid stable. And that was surprising for me.
Yeah, I think I learned about these re-dispatches, and it's kind of an art to keep everything in balance indeed. Yeah.
Exactly. Keep everything operational in the end, and also not lose too much energy, because energy needs to be produced. And we all know that we are not so far that we have all of our energy produced CO2 emission free, right? And this is our big vision, that we help and enable our customers to save CO2 emissions and support them on their path to net zero.
So you mentioned it was very important to you when you joined the company.
Yeah.
How important is it for other talents who join this endeavor?
Yeah, I think for almost everyone, it's super important that you have a mission, a vision, and a purpose to when you join a company. Very few of us just go to work because we need to work and then we leave again in the afternoon. So this is definitely important. So you have to know, you and me most probably didn't know anything about supercaps before, but in a certain business area and certain information sphere, people know skeleton very well, and those are the professionals who are already dealing with energy storage and batteries. So they actually join us for the reason to develop something new in that field, or being part of this development or production. And all the others are just intrigued by the potential of the company and by also being part of this growth story, because we are at the moment expanding a lot. We're in a typical scale-up phase, and we're, for example, building at the moment in Leipzig the biggest supercap factory and most modern supercap factory in Europe. And this will not be the end. So it's also very intriguing to be part of this growth story.
It's super exciting, and so we talked a lot about values, and where we talked about the development of the last few years. So when I think it's so exciting that the world became so much smaller, and that you can now living in Dresden interact with 40 cultures at your workplace. What is your vision for the next few years? So how do you think this will develop going forward?
I think it will even intensify more. So you will always have certain jobs or certain roles in a company that need to be local, that need to be on site. But in the end, many jobs will be even more global, and you won't need people in the same country. So it's already that, of course, companies employ salespeople all over the world. That is normal. But if you're a software developer or someone who needs to work in front of a computer, it doesn't matter anymore if you're located on an island or in a big city. You just need internet, and therefore it will intensify even more. There are so many companies that are 100% remote. But also looking at these companies, they see that a physical meeting is also important and also necessary. So this is also what we say: twice per year, we get everyone together for a great summer party or a New Year's event and celebrate in person, because then it helps the human being to actually look into real eyes and not the computer picture of someone.
Indeed, indeed. Sarah, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you, and well, to experience your passion for for different cultures and for well, the great topic of energy storage. Thank you so much.
I am very happy. Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks to all of you guys for listening in, and see you next time.